The sharp metallic clack of two heavy balls slamming together on a string. The eye-stinging, acrid smoke rising from the hot plate, melting plastic goop. The whoosh of spring-fired plastic bullets streaking across a suburban backyard. This isn't just the soundtrack of playtime. This is the soundtrack of the unsupervised childhood laboratory. A toy that let kids hold actual radioactive uranium, a backyard game that ended in a congressional ban, and those slightly compressed gloves that turned brotherly wars into emergency room visits. Every single safety warning label on today's toys was written in blood, bruises, and hospital trips from the 80s kids who thought they were just messing around. Your parents probably risked cracked ribs in the Black Friday stampede just to buy a Christmas gift more dangerous than a wild animal. So let's crank the clock way back to the era of zero adult supervision. You're watching American Retro Vault, the ultimate time machine hauling you back to the golden days of pure American nostalgia. Today we're counting down the 15 craziest, most dangerous toys that shaped our wild, unchecked childhoods. Number 15. Pogo Ball. Hasbro dropped the Pogo Ball for $12, a star-shaped rubber disc clamped around a super slippery plastic ball. No handles, no safety rails, just pure primal danger. Picture a sticky July afternoon. You wedge that frictionless ball between your sweaty bare feet and just launch yourself like a lunatic. Physics was not on your side. Your center of gravity was 3 feet above the asphalt on a neon death machine. One off-center bounce and bam, you're eating gravel on the driveway. If a company released this today, the Consumer Product Safety Commission would raid their headquarters before lunch. Parents would be trending with class-action TikTok lawsuits. But back then, it was a rite of passage. Hundreds of broken wrists, rolled ankles, and concussions forged real character. We survived the Pogo Ball, wore those casts like medals of honor, and bragged about how we danced with disaster. Number 14. Voltron Lions. Let's talk peak playground envy, 1985. 5 shiny robot lions that clicked and clacked together with heavy metal funks to form a giant sword-swinging warrior. Christmas morning, 1985. You're sitting on that itchy orange shag carpet, ripping open the box. The toy smelled like fresh factory grease, and honestly, you immediately put it in your mouth. 80s kids chewed on everything. Action figures, their own fingers, even the family dog. You still remember that sweet metallic taste on the green lion's tail. The problem? The Consumer Product Safety Commission later found illegal levels of lead paint on over 1 million of these awesome toys. If a toy with lead hit shelves today, federal agents in hazmat suits would raid the factory and Twitter would lose its mind. Back then, the recall notices just gathered dust in our parents' junk mail. We literally poisoned ourselves with every bite of our heroes. But maybe that's why our immune systems today are basically bulletproof. That heavy, toxic metallic flavor was the taste of pure, unfiltered childhood glory. Number 13. Slap bracelets. Let's talk about the slap bracelet. Invented in 1983 by a shop teacher, it took over 1990 like a neon plague. Picture a sticky September recess. You stretch out a bright pink fabric strip hiding a real spring steel band, and whack, you slap it onto your bare forearm. It stung a little, but that sharp, satisfying smack was the sound of the schoolyard. After 2 weeks of rough outdoor play, though, the cheap fabric on the knockoffs wore away. Suddenly you were slapping actual razor-sharp metal straight onto your veins, slicing your wrist open and needing stitches. Today, a kid's smartwatch needs more safety certifications than the space shuttle. If kids nowadays started slashing their wrists with cheap metal toys, schools would go into lockdown and the FBI would open a federal investigation. Back then, getting stitches from jewelry was just part of growing up. Eventually, entire states banned them outright. But for one brief, glorious moment, we proudly wore our tetanus machines as fashion statements. We bled for style, and we were proud of it. Number 12. Moon shoes. You strapped your sneakers into the moon shoes, the 80s plastic remake laced up with thick, heavy-duty rubber bands that smelled like burnt rubber. You heard that distinctive creaking stretch right before you launched off the concrete. Gravity always won. The original heavy metal versions from the 70s were brutal, but these plastic ankle destroyers were so unstable that orthopedic doctors nicknamed them moon casts. Still, we kept jumping until our feet looked like overripe bananas. If a company tried selling these today, Child Protective Services would set up checkpoints at every toy store, and pediatricians would declare a national emergency. But back then, exhausted parents bought them because the TV commercials looked amazing, praying for 5 minutes of peace and quiet. We twisted ankles, limped home on bruised feet, and learned the harsh, unforgiving laws of physics. We weren't astronauts exploring space. We were battle-hardened survivors on the front lawn. Number 11. Water wiggle. A sweltering August afternoon in 1975. You could smell freshly cut grass and feel the icy spray from the garden hose. A 7-foot-long tube thrashed wildly across the lawn, spraying water from a smiling plastic head. That smiling head was held on only by water pressure. When it popped off, it exposed a bare, cold aluminum nozzle. If a toy this potentially lethal existed today, the FBI and CPSC would raid the manufacturer, and executives would face criminal negligence charges before sundown. Back then, it took 2 separate, horrific tragedies in 1975 and 1978. That cursed aluminum nozzle shot straight into the mouths of 2 little boys while the tube was still blasting water, drowning them in their own backyards. 2.5 million units were finally recalled, but the heartbreak never was. It's a haunting reminder of how a simple promise of summer fun became the reason some families could never trust summer again. Number 10. Creepy Crawler's Thingmaker. Picture a rainy Tuesday afternoon. You poured mysterious plastic goop into a metal mold, then casually shoved it onto an open-face hot plate glowing at 390 degrees Fahrenheit with 0 insulation. The air got thick, your eyes burned, your head spun from the toxic fumes, and that sharp, unforgettable smell of melting vinyl burned itself into your brain forever. Then, sizzle. You touched the scorching metal and instantly branded your fingertips. If a company sold a 390-degree chemical oven with no guards to a 7-year-old today, the EPA would declare your house a toxic waste site, and Child Protective Services would kick the door in before dinner. Back then, those burned fingers built character. We didn't just make plastic bugs. We learned brutal, blistering lessons in thermodynamics. The lingering PTSD from that hot vinyl smell? It was just the unforgettable aroma of pure childhood survival. Number 9. Easy Bake Oven. You slid a flimsy metal tray into a glowing plastic box that smelled like cake mix and dusty hot electronics. You reached in to grab your creation and sizzle. That 100-watt bulb blistered your tiny fingertips instantly. But get this, Hasbro's 2007 redesign was actually worse. They added a narrow front slot that trapped kids' hands, causing 249 reported incidents and actual partial finger amputations, forcing a massive recall of nearly 1 million units. Today's toy ovens have triple safety locks and parent control apps. If a toy severed a kid's finger now, Congress would hold emergency hearings. But back then, we baked with open flames and called it family bonding time. Those little burns were a rite of passage. We didn't just learn to bake, we learned to survive. Number 8. Super elastic bubble plastic. Remember the hiss of that tiny metal tube? You squeezed out a blob of goo, stuck it on a little straw, and blew. But the smell, oh man, it was like nail polish remover mixed with burning tires. It wasn't just unpleasant, it was straight polyvinyl acetate dissolved in pure acetone. I remember sitting on the shag carpet in the living room, cheeks aching from blowing, completely ignoring the fact the whole room was slowly spinning. Try doing that today. Hand a kid industrial glue to huff for fun, and a SWAT team would be smashing through your windows. The Child Protective Services hotline would be ringing off the hook. Yet, we survived. We proudly displayed those wrinkly, chemical-stinking plastic bubbles like trophies of our original toughness. We weren't just playing. We were accidentally risking mild brain damage to make something magical. Right before the toy quietly disappeared from shelves, once society finally realized what the hell we were doing. Ah, the 80s. Before we hit the most shocking one on the list, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so American Retro Vault keeps delivering these wild, unsupervised childhood stories. Number 7. Mini hammocks. Picture the backyard in the 80s. Smell of fresh-cut grass and cheap mosquito spray. Your parents just bought you the ultimate chill spot, a little hammock. No spreader bars, just cheap nylon mesh. You climbed in, the rough rope scratching your sunburned skin. You rolled over, and suddenly the relaxing net cinched tight like a cocoon. It wasn't just snug, it was a death trap. Tragically, between 1984 and 1995, 12 kids died from strangulation in these exact things. Imagine hanging one of these in your yard today. If you installed a child-sized neck cincher in your backyard right now, police wouldn't just fine you. The SWAT team would fast rope from a helicopter, and Child Protective Services would cuff you before lunch. Back then, parents just handed us a hanging trap and said, "Go relax." 3 million units were finally recalled in 1996. Looking back, it's a sad reminder of how fragile our childhoods really were. We weren't just playing. We were surviving our own backyards. Number 6. Soccer boppers. Remember the high-pitched squeak of that thick vinyl? The toxic chemical smell of cheap plastic fresh out of the box? You slipped your little fists into those giant gas-filled weapons. The commercials promised it was more fun than a pillow fight. But that thin air cushion was useless against a determined 8-year-old brother. One wild swing, a loud bop, and suddenly you were tasting blood. Chipped teeth and nosebleeds all over the family carpet. Imagine giving these to kids today. If parents now let siblings knock each other unconscious in the living room, society would literally call it assault. Cops wouldn't just knock, they'd raid your house for running an underground kids' fight club. But back then, it built character. Those 90s trips to the ER, wrapped in vinyl, taught us raw, unfiltered toughness. We weren't just playing, we were literally fighting our way through childhood, wearing those chipped teeth like badges of honor. Number 5. Battlestar Galactica missile launcher. Picture holding that classic toy in your hands. You felt the hard, cold plastic. You heard the satisfying click as you loaded a smooth red plastic missile into the spring-powered cannon. But that perfect little red missile had a deadly design flaw. It was exactly the right diameter to block a small child's windpipe. Tragically, a 4-year-old boy inhaled one and died. That's an unimaginable pain. One family completely shattered over a cheap piece of plastic. Think about the modern context. If a company released a missile basically engineered to choke a toddler today, federal agents would raid the warehouses immediately. Executives would face serious criminal negligence charges, and the media outrage would be apocalyptic. But from that heartbreaking loss came a deep and somber legacy. That single horrific tragedy is exactly why every toy today carries the familiar warning: choking hazard for children under 3. One family's devastating loss became the shield protecting millions of others. Number 4. Clackers. Today we look back at the ultimate distraction weapon of the 1970s, clackers. Remember that ear-splitting, bone-rattling clack, clack, clack echoing down the pavement like a construction site? You gripped that cheap plastic ring and whipped the 2 heavy acrylic balls until they were just a terrifying blur of bruised knuckles and pure adrenaline. But swing them too fast? Crack! They shattered on impact, launching razor-sharp shards of plastic straight into faces and eyes. We were literally playing Russian roulette on the playground. Imagine handing these out at recess today. If you gave kids 2 swinging acrylic grenades right now, teachers would smash the lockdown alarm, the bomb squad would evacuate the monkey bars, and you'd be arrested for domestic terrorism. The CPSC eventually banned them completely because the mechanical hazards were so extreme. But those shattered remnants carried a sad truth. Surviving recess back then wasn't guaranteed. It was an everyday badge of honor. We weren't just playing. We were dodging flying shrapnel to forge an unbreakable will. Number 3. Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Lab. A toy that cost nearly $50 back then, over $600 in today's money. Picture the heavy metallic clunk as you opened that pristine science kit. You pulled out a real Geiger counter, heard that terrifying stuttering click, 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 and then you were holding a vial of 100% real radioactive uranium ore. Imagine your clumsy hands dropping that glass vial on the kitchen floor. Crash. Suddenly, you're breathing a cloud of radioactive metal dust that would irradiate you for the rest of your life. Try selling this today. If a toy company shipped radioactive isotopes to suburban kids right now, the National Guard would quarantine your entire zip code. The FBI would put your 10-year-old on a domestic nuclear threat watch list. But back then, it was the proudest moment of parenthood. Mom and Dad smiled while you learned science, quietly giving the whole family low-level radiation therapy. It was a hilariously dark piece of history. We didn't just study science. We became glowing, radiation-hardened survivors, carrying that bright, burning toughness for life. Number 2. Slip and slide. Adults prohibited. The iconic yellow Whammo water slide. The smell of wet PVC plastic baking in the sun mixed with grass and mud. You're 12 and feel invincible. You sprint across the scorching lawn, dive headfirst onto that thin yellow plastic strip. But you're a little over the 4'11" height limit. The water film instantly disappears under your weight. Instead of gliding into a cool splash, your bare chest slams into dry, sun-baked plastic with a horrific rip of skin. Momentum stops violently, and your neck snaps backward. Tragically, this caused spinal injuries and paralysis for adults and bigger kids, leading to massive recalls and very clear "no adults" warning labels. It was a toy that made you promise not to use it the way they advertised. Imagine installing one today. If a modern company sold a backyard toy that doubled as a spine snapper, paramedics would shut down the whole neighborhood. The CEO would be hauled to The Hague. But back then, we just iced our bruised ribs and kept sliding. We didn't just slide, we dove headfirst into danger, learning brutal physics lessons and raw resilience with every friction burn. Number 1. Johnny Reb Cannon. You're kneeling on the dirt, loading a hard plastic cannonball, or worse, a heavy glass marble. You trigger the real gunpowder cap. Boom! A sharp explosion rings out, smoke stings your eyes, and that marble rockets over 30 feet straight into your best friend's face. Try giving kids real explosives to shoot at each other today. If a kid dragged a working cannon into a modern cul-de-sac, Neighborhood Watch would call Homeland Security. The bomb squad would roll out robots, and parents would be booking federal prison time for weapons trafficking. Eventually, shattered windows and eye injuries forced the toy off shelves forever. But back then, those broken windows taught us the real consequences of friendly fire. We weren't just playing pretend. We were surviving actual backyard battles with real gunpowder, forging an unbreakable toughness. These toys weren't just dangerous, they were freedom. While today you need an engineering degree to install a car seat, and every playground is padded like a psych ward, we grew up in the uncontrolled laboratory of childhood. Bruises, scrapes, near-death experiences, and 0 helicopter parents. It built character. It created grit. It made us the last generation that actually knew how to survive. Drop your own childhood survival stories in the comments below. Which banned toy on this list did you survive, or worse, beg your parents to buy? Did you have the radiation kit? Did you lose a finger to the Easy Bake Oven? I read every single comment. These wild memories are the heartbeat of American nostalgia. Smash that like button, subscribe to American Retro Vault, and we'll see you next time. Keep those memories alive.